Yeah, so Blender 5 has just dropped, and today I'm going to show you how to create this cool little robot using all NPR shaders. And it's got some nice Fresnel effects on the robot, and it's all procedural. You can change the colors of every one of these. I'll show you exactly how to set this up. And if you want to follow along exactly, you can just download this little robot from my Gumroad page. I'll leave a link in this description, and let's get cracking. So I've got this robot here, and I modeled this robot in Blender, and it was a lot of fun to do. And now we're going to give it some nice PBR materials and make it really pop. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to go to our render properties, and you're just going to go down to color management and make sure that you are set to standard and high contrast. That's usually the best way for these type of materials, for NPR materials. That's what I usually use most of the time. Okay, so let's start with this. So okay, I'm going to go over to viewport shading, and then make sure that you're in Eevee, because this is only going to work in Eevee. It's not going to work in cycles. And the first thing we want is a light. So I'm going to press Shift A and make sure I've got a new collection that says lights. Just click on the collection so it puts the light in there. And then we just put in the sunlight, and then just GZ. It doesn't matter if we pull it up because the light is coming from all directions, but just to get it out of the way, I'm just going to pull it up, and then I'm going to go to the light data properties here and give it a strength of about 3, and then I'm just going to rotate it. Let's get the light coming from this direction, and then you press RZ to rotate it a bit on the Z-axis as well. Just something like that. Just get the light until you get something that you like. Okay, so that's the light setup. So let's go to the scene world. I'm going to change this here. And I'm just going with this sort of cyberpunk color. So this one I'm going to make very dark, almost black. So if you want to follow along exactly, the color I'm using here is 030207. Okay, and then we get this black sort of color. Now I'm going to go over here to the shader view, and then just make sure that I've got the render view selected. And now let's just select the whole robot. So press A. Okay, and then this is a very important thing. This is probably one of the best Blender habits to have when you're working on models, is make sure that your scale is set to 1, because if you add modifiers, especially things like bevel modifiers, and also if we add things like solidify modifiers, it's going to create havoc if its scale is not set to 1. So Control A, scale, and then we set that to 1. So with everything selected, or let's just select this hood here, I'm just going to create a new base material and just call it a robot color. Then I'm going to select everything, Control A, and then Shift select the mask, so that one's selected last, and then Control L to link the material over, because we're going to work with this material, then we're going to put different materials to different parts of the robot later, because it's all going to be procedural. So let's just set up the basic Toon material. So we delete the principal BSTF, and then everything goes black, and you start to panic, and you're like, oh my God, what happened now? But don't worry, we're going to fix it. So Shift A, the first thing you want is a diffuse BSDF. And also, just as a side note, make sure that you've got Node Wrangler installed. So you can go up here, edit preferences, add-ons, Node Wrangler. So that's usually the very first thing you do if you install Blender, is make sure you've got Node Wrangler and also loop tools. but we're not talking about loop tools in this video. Anyway, so I've got our diffuse BSDF shader set up here, then Shift A. Now we want a shader to RGB because we want to take this shader influence and convert it to color, and this is only available in Eevee. And then we just pump that into there, and then Shift A, and then now we want a color ramp, and we put the color ramp there between these two, and we put the color into the factor and then the color into the surface, and then it's going to look exactly like it did before, which is fine. And then yeah, this is the magic. If you go to linear and we make it to constant and we bring this slider up, you can see what starts to happen. So bring the slider up here, and this is our basic Toon shader, but we want it to be a bit more smooth. We want to add a few more stops. So just click this plus button here and then select this and then bring it up to maybe something like that. And then this one here, we're going to bring it up as well. And then maybe let's add another one. So click in the middle here and then add another one. And we just create. Now we've got 4 stops in here. So we've got this. This is our basic Toon shader. But we want to add color to this. And this is where the procedural part comes in. So we press Shift A, mix color. Take the mix color, put it in here, and then put the factor to 1. And then the mix, make it multiply. And then now this one at the bottom, this is our color here. You can see if I start playing with this, then we get a different color. And then for the color that I'm going to use for this, for the basic one, I'm going to make it a nice sort of pink because this robot looks a bit feminine. And I'll just use this color, which is EB2655, and then we get this as actually more of a red, but I get this basic color. So this is the basic Toon shader. So but we want to level it up a bit, so let's add something else. Let's add a Fresnel effect, which is going to make it really nice. So I'm just going to press Shift A, and I'm just going to add a new node, which is going to be the layer weight, and I'm just going to drop it in here at the top here, and then Shift A again to create a color ramp so that we can convert our layer weight node so it's also flat shaded. So I'm just going to, and then take the facing. Don't take the Fresnel, take the facing. That's very important. Put that into the factor. And for now, let's just click on the color ramp, Control Shift click, and then we get the preview here. And this is our basic Fresnel, what it looks like. So we're going to do the same here. We're going to make it constant, and then just bring up your slider. And the more you bring your slider up, the stronger the effect's going to be, as you can see here. And then we just maybe bring it up to maybe like a quarter or a third of the way. Okay, and then now we just need to combine this node tree with this node tree. So Shift A, we have another mix color, and then put this one into the bottom. That's important to put your Fresnel one into the bottom. And then our original one, this color tree here, put that into the top. And then make the mix add. So now we're adding the Fresnel, we're only adding the white bits, and then we can play it with the factor. So the factor is 1, it's going to have a full effect. If we want to make it a bit more subtle, we can just play here with the factor. See what that's doing, and that's pretty cool. So now we can just create different parts of the robot. We've got this going for us now. So now we can just create some more shaders. So like I said, these are procedural. So what we can do is let's work on this body piece here. So I'm just select this one and then go up here to your material where it says robot color, where you see that number here. If I click this number, it's going to create a single user copy, and that's what I want. So I'm going to call this, let's call this robot spine, and then I'm going to change the color for this one. I'm going to go, all I'm going to do is I'm going to change this color here in the material, and I'm just going to go down here. This one I'm going to use a sort of dark blue 351759, and that's what it looks like. And then maybe for this one we can bring the Fresnel up a bit to make it stand out a bit more. Okay, and then let's just add a color here to the mask. So I'm gonna click this button here again, the one way with a number on the right here on your material, to create a single user copy. And I'm going to call this color, let's call this light robot. And then for this one, I'm just going to give it a color of, it's going to make it sort of a aqua blue 10D 3C9, and then we get this color. And then I'm just going to copy it over to the ears here, and then to the arms maybe, and then to the soles of the feet here. And then select this one last, the mask. So you hold in shift and then you select all of those, and then Control L, link materials. So now we've got this over here. And then for the last, let's just create some emission for the eyes. I'm going to select the eyes. I'm going to delete this color. I'm going to create a new one. New color here, and just call this, let's call this light. And then here where it says surface, I'm just going to make it emission. And let's maybe change the color, or let's keep the color like a white. Maybe bring up the strength here, make the strength 5. And then we can select this button, and then select the eyes lastly and press Control L, link materials. Okay, so now we've got this, and this is looking pretty cool. So for the last step, we can maybe add some outlines. I don't know if the outlines are going to make a difference that much because our background's very dark, but it might make a difference inside of the robot. So let's just do that just as an exercise as well. So the way you add outlines with a PBR effect is with something called the inverse hole method. I just actually want to take this neck here and select that, shift select the spine, and maybe make it the same color. That's just going to look nice. It does. So let's put a outline here on the mask. So I've got the mask selected, and I'm just going to create a new color, and then new, and then call this outline. And then this one should also be an emission, and we just make it, just go to blue. I like to do that, go to blue and make it very dark blue, almost like a black, but not completely. You don't want to use 100% black. So now we've got this. What we can do now is, now we've got 2 colors on here, and now we need to add a modifier. So we go to modifiers, and we add generate, where's that now? Solidify. We add a solidify modifier. And then This is important. Go to normals, flip the normals, and then click high quality as well. And then go to materials and put the offset to 1. And then sometimes it goes black. If it goes black, don't worry. All you need to do is you need to fix up your emission. So you go to your, press camera and shadows. And then it should work. Let me just see here. So yeah, you can see the helmet there. If you want to make the helmet thicker, we can do that as well. Before we do that, let me just repeat the process again. So what you do is you add another material, an outline, then you add the solidify modifier to your object. Then you make sure that you've got under normals, flip and high quality, the material offset set to 1. And then you go to your materials, to your outline, and you make sure under surface you've got camera, shadow, under backface culling enabled. So if we want to make this thicker, we can just go to our modifier and we can just play here with the thickness, and it will increase the line width. And then also we can play with the offset. At the moment it's making it bigger towards the inside. If we press 0, I find 0 works the best. Not always, like in this case it looks a bit funny. Or you can go up to 1, but let's just leave it at -1 here. And I just want it to be subtle, so maybe just 2 here. So that's basically, and then you can copy this over and do the same on your other materials. Let's maybe copy it over to the ear here. So all you do is we select the ear, and then we shift select the mask, and then Control L, link materials, and then now you need to have, there's an extension. If you go to edit, preferences, get extension, make sure you've got, just go and search for copy attributes menu. Make sure you've got that enabled, because that's going to enable us to copy selected modifiers. So that's what we need to do now. So we select the ear, and then we shift select the mask, and then we press Control C, and you'll see this menu, and then we say copy selected modifiers, and then just copy the solidify, and it brings that over. Now we've got this on the ear as well. And then you can just go over and copy it to the rest of them. And this is basically what our robot looks like. And I think this is quite nice. There's a lot you can do with this. And yes, welcome to Blender 5. I will probably have some more tutorials coming up in the future. So if you like this, drop me a like and subscribe.